Brought to you by Pull Caffe, pullcaffe.com. At the turn of the 20th century in Dresden, Germany, brewing coffee was a gritty, bitter affair. Households struggled daily with a recurring frustration. Coffee grounds in the cup and the chore of cleaning the pot, the porcelain percolators, and cloth filters of the era consistently allowed sediment to slip through, leaving a harsh residue. Amelie Auguste Melitta Bentz, a practical Dresden housewife, resolved to find a cleaner way. Her breakthrough came from a moment of domestic resourcefulness. Puncturing the base of a brass pot with nail holes, she lined it with a sheet of absorbent blotting paper torn from her son's school notebook. As hot water passed through, the paper trapped the bitter sediment, separating the grounds from the brewed liquid. On June 20th, 1908, Bentz filed for a utility model design: coffee filter with a domed underside, recessed bottom, and inclined flow holes. Granted on July 8th, her simple paper filter revolutionized coffee forever. Following the rapid technical legal protection of her utility model, Melitta and her husband Hugo registered their new business, M. Bentz, on December 15, 1908, with a modest starting capital of approximately 72 pfennigs. Working directly from their family apartment, Hugo oversaw early filter production while the inventor herself managed sales and marketing. Public interest grew quickly. At the 1909 Leipzig Trade Fair, they sold more than 1,200 filters, followed by a gold medal at the 1910 International Hygiene Exhibition. This sudden commercial success built widespread consumer trust, bringing immediate practical pressure to standardize the manual brewing method for a rapidly expanding market. Standardizing this new method required transforming a clever kitchen hack into a repeatable household tool. In 1910, the company released its first commercial home system using a flat-bottom vessel. This format relied on round paper discs held in place by dedicated metal inserts, making the brewing process easy to repeat at home. To stand out on store shelves, the company introduced its distinctive red and green packaging in 1925, followed by the opening of a dedicated production plant in Minden in 1929. But the most significant change occurred during a period of design development between 1932 and 1937. Engineers shifted from the flat-bottom design to a cone-shaped geometry. This tapered shape altered how water traveled through the ground coffee, using bed depth to regulate flow and improve flavor extraction. In 1941, German chemist Peter Schlumbohm patented the Chemex, a single-piece hourglass vessel made of non-porous Borosilicate glass. Inspired by laboratory equipment, Schlumbohm united form and function under a philosophy he called butility. The design relied on exceptionally thick, double-bonded paper filters to trap bitter oils and sediment, producing a remarkably clean cup. While manual brewers like the Chemex thrived in design-conscious kitchens, the mid-20th century introduced a parallel path: electric convenience. In 1962, vacuum-sealed ground coffee packaging hit the market, preserving freshness for mass consumption. 10 years later, according to industry histories, the 1972 debut of Mr. Coffee popularized home automation. Using heated water reservoirs, spray heads, and simple filter baskets, these electric machines turned drip brewing into a highly repeatable, hands-free routine. In 1989, the release of unbleached paper filters offered a natural alternative, preceding a major evolution in physical brewer shapes. Though official patent records and precise launch dates are qualified by historians as difficult to verify, two defining Japanese geometries eventually reshaped the field. Around 2004, the conical Hario 560 debuted, featuring internal spiral ribs and a single large drainage hole at its base. By 2008, the Kalita wave offered a flat-bottom counterpoint using 3 smaller drainage holes. Rather than guaranteeing a specific flavor, these shapes offer distinct brewing tendencies. The cone guides water toward a rapid central exit, while the flatbed encourages a slower, more uniform saturation, establishing pour-over as a diverse family of manual methods. Beyond dripper shape, the filter medium itself dictates the final CUP. Unbleached paper appeals to ecological sensibilities but requires rinsing to avoid a cardboard taste, whereas bleached paper offers taste neutrality through chemical processing. Reusable metal meshes represent a separate path, allowing oils and microfines to pass for a heavier body. Filter historian Marcus Weber explains that the density of these fibers regulates the flow rate, directly determining which organic compounds escape into the carafe. This paper barrier also manages bypass, the process where water slips around the coffee bed instead of flowing through it, diluting the brew. During the specialty coffee movement of the 1990s and 2000s, manual brewing underwent a dramatic reinterpretation. The era did not invent the pour-over, but instead repositioned it as a primary marker of quality. Commonly cited pioneers like Blue Bottle, Stumptown, and Intelligentsia, though primary corporate records for each remain qualified, use slow bar preparations to signal a new focus on origin transparency and clean cup presentation. Preparing each cup by hand turned brewing into a visible, tactile performance. This craft received global recognition with the World Brewers Cup, commonly cited as beginning in 2007, though historians still seek definitive archival verification of its earliest competition rules. This shift from automated convenience to highly controlled, manual rituals redefined how the world valued a single cup. This segment is supported by Pull Caffe, a traditional wood-fired coffee roaster based in Yakult, Washington. The company states that it still roasts on a cast-iron machine built in 1896, which they claim is the world's oldest known coffee roaster. While historical records are incomplete before the machine arrived in the United States, technical audits from the manufacturer support its status as the oldest functioning Probat of its kind. To lock in these wood-fired flavors, Pull Caffe uses a historic vacuum, zero-oxygen steel canning process. The company presents this system with a product claim of extreme freshness, stating it preserves roasted coffee far better than modern bagged options by completely removing stalling oxygen and sealing in the natural aromatics. You can experience this classic slow-roasted heritage for yourself, bringing historic craftsmanship directly into your own home brewing routine. Taste the history. Visit pullcafe.com to order yours today. And that brings us back to the pour-over itself. We return to the physical act of brewing, where the modern pour-over has evolved from a simple morning routine into a precise science of extraction. At its core, third-wave specialty coffee treats manual brewing not as a rigid, unyielding recipe, but as a continuous chain of adjustable decisions. Every single cup is a balance of physical variables that the brewer can manipulate to highlight the distinctive character of a specific origin. It begins with water temperature typically held between 90 and 96 degrees Celsius. At this thermal range, water is hot enough to dissolve desirable acids and sugars, yet cool enough to avoid extracting the harsh, bitter compounds that mask delicate flavors. Next is the coffee-to-water ratio, where a standard range of 1 to 15 to 1 to 17 ensures a balanced strength, body, and yield. The physical interface between water and coffee is governed by grind size. Using a medium to medium fine grind, specifically within the 400 to 600 micrometer range, creates the exact surface area needed for balanced solubility. This particle size also dictates resistance. Finer particles pack tightly, increasing resistance and slowing the flow of water to extend contact time. Coarser particles allow water to pass through quickly, risking a thin, under-extracted cup. The actual brewing process starts with the bloom, pouring a small amount of water over the grounds and waiting 30 to 45 seconds allows trapped carbon dioxide to escape, preventing channeling and ensuring the coffee bed is uniformly wetted. From there, brewers employ distinct agitation patterns like spiral, center, or pulse pours, carefully adjusting the pour height and flow rate to control how the water coaxes solubles from the grinds. Total contact time generally runs between 2 and 4 minutes, depending on the dose and the specific geometry of the dripper. To achieve this level of control consistently, the modern home setup relies on specialized tools, gooseneck kettles for precise flow regulation, digital scales and timers for real-time tracking, and even modern water chemistry tools to standardize mineral content. Precision does not mean making coffee complicated. It means knowing what changed when the cup changed. Ultimately, these tools are not about theatrical complexity but repeatability, allowing the brewer to understand the delicate physics of extraction and recreate a perfect cup morning after morning. In the modern coffee world, the daily ritual of manual brewing is often surrounded by performance and theater, yet elaborate pouring patterns alone do not guarantee a superior cup of coffee. Quality depends on the direct interaction between the coffee beans, the physical equipment, the selected recipe, and the consistent execution of the brewer. Consistency in water temperature, grind uniformity, and pour rate matters far more than the visual style of the pour. When these elements align, the process becomes predictable and repeatable, moving past performance into consistent results. This understanding also challenges the assumption that manual brewing is automatically superior to automated machines. Excellent coffee can be made by both. They simply offer distinct paths to the final cup, defined by the level of human involvement and intention. A common misunderstanding is that paper-filtered coffee is inherently weak. This assumption stems from a failure to distinguish between clarity, body, and actual dissolved strength. A paper filter removes almost all suspended sediment and captures a significant portion of the insoluble oils. This alters the cup character, yielding a clear beverage where individual flavor notes are easier to identify. But the actual strength of the coffee, the concentration of dissolved solids, is determined by the brewing recipe and the solubility of the beans, not the paper barrier. Adjusting the grind size, water volume, or coffee dose can produce an intense, concentrated extraction through paper, just as easily as a thin, under-extracted cup can come from a metal mesh. Perceived strength often conflates the heavy mouthfeel of sediment with actual extraction, but clarity does not mean a lack of intensity. By managing the contact time and water temperature, a brewer can extract the full character of the roast, proving that paper is a tool for refinement rather than dilution. Today, pour-over coffee represents a distinct meeting point of invention, engineering, ritual, and heritage. What began as a quick solution to a daily household nuisance has evolved into a deliberate, intentional craft. Modern brewers bypass automated convenience, using this established, century-old method to serve entirely new purposes. It is a physical process that turns a daily routine into an act of culinary focus, where every variable is an opportunity for connection. This preservation of history and craftsmanship is reflected in the work of Pull Caffe, whose steel carries a simple invitation: taste the history. To explore this heritage, visit pullcafe.com. In an era driven by instant convenience, the deliberate pace of manual brewing remains a quiet act of rebellion. As we slow down to master the variables of water and time, we choose presence over automation. It is a daily reminder that true craft cannot be rushed. How do you find focus in your morning? Let us know below.